Hi, I'm Tane.
And I'm Aid, and this is Altar Call, a Married at First Sight podcast.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another off-season episode. This week, our episode is going to be the Summer House Martha's Vineyard reunion episode, which thankfully is one part. Hi, Aid. How are you?
I am good, except for not having electricity again. Um, it left for 5 days. It came back for, I don't know, 6 days, and now it's gone again.
You Houstonites are going through it.
It's a wild ride. I'm really hoping it comes back quick this time. There's much less people who lost power this time, so hopes and prayers. What about you?
Yeah. I'm okay. I mean, I'm less congested than I was. I was under the weather the entire Memorial Day weekend. It was not fun, but I can breathe today, so I'll take it as a win, and I'm good. Oh boy. So, all right. Before we dive in, can you share the housekeeping that we have for the week?
Sure. So, guys, if you didn't catch it, last week we did a What Are We Watching episode. So, feel free to check that out. It's in the feed right before this episode. We will also be doing a Bridgerton episode. We're going to cover do a little chat about the love story that's taking the world by storm. Um, and then, last but not least, we had a wonderful time having a chat with Lauren from Denver, and that will be in your feeds soon. So watch out for that and check it out. Um, Tate, my favorite part about talking to Lauren was that I just feel like she explained some things. So I know it's been a few weeks since the season, but you should listen to her explain things, guys.
Yeah, yeah. It was enlightening to hear the other side of it and getting some clarification. Now, if everybody else agrees with us, I don't know, but it was fun. And just to add to that, the Bridgerton is going to be on Patreon. So if you are a patron, look out for that in your feed. And not being biased or anything, but I really enjoyed the What Are We Watching episode. So if you really haven't, go check it out because we talked about a lot of shows. So, check it out.
Yeah. So, Tane, what is going on with the former Mathsland people?
All right. So I was just going through and I saw Justin from San Diego was talking about getting a hug from his I can't remember if it was his dad and just talking about, the joy you feel when you're around family. And I saw that his location was in Alabama. And I'm like, did he move? Did I miss something? And also, if he moved, what does that mean for his relationship? Did that end? Did I miss that? So I was like, instead of speculating, I'm just going to ask. So I asked, did you move? And he said yes. So basically, Justin has moved to Mobile, Alabama from San Diego.
You know, cost of living, I'm sure mobile is much better.
Yeah, I mean, cost of living is hitting everybody. But I feel like everyone is moving to places that are allegedly lower cost of living, and that's just hiking everything up. So pretty soon we'll all be in the same. Nah, we can't hit California, but yes. Um, this is just really random. As I was just scrolling through, what do you think? I thought that McKinley from Nashville and Taylor from DC would have made a good match.
Yeah, sure.
I think they hit my feed back to back, and I was like, "Huh, this might have worked." Um, Instagram is wild because it just serves you anything on your For You page or Explore page or whatever it's called. And it served me Carly Weidel, who you might remember. I think you were still watching The Bachelor back then, who ended up with Evan. Does that ring a
Uh,
bell?
no, not really.
Okay. They had two kids and they separated and they had all that. So I'm reading up on it. She just hard lunched her boyfriend. They've been together for a while. And apparently she's a singer now, and it looks like it's country music. And then she's talking about her hairstyle, and she's like, "Oh, thank you." And she puts Gina's handle on there for doing my hair. And I'm like, wait, isn't that Gina's? And I was like, wait, is this the country music artist that McKinley was interested in? I don't know, but these are all the things that I was just putting together, and I was like, "Whoa!" Then I started to figure: is there any other country singer that Gina does their hair? And I didn't see any, and I'm like, "Huh." So I hope all that made sense.
I'm happy to see Gina succeeding in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. It makes me happy when I see her business doing well. So if she's doing celebrities' hair, like, go Gina.
yeah. But I mean, I think like from what we gather, she was already slaying that part even before maths, and we heard that she had connects already. So, but it would be interesting if that's who McKinley was trying to get with and ask Gina for her number if it was
It would
Carly.
be. It would be.
Um, there was a music festival in Boston. Noi went to it, and she had a caption saying like, "This time last year, I was misty eyed because I had just broken up with someone, and this year I am misty eyed for other reasons." And I don't know. My first thought was like, "Oh, is she pregnant?" I don't think she's pregnant. She doesn't look pregnant, but it looks like she's dating somebody else again. She didn't really name names, hasn't done a hard lunch, but she did put a birthday cake and hid the name to the side and did like a when Bay gives you presents or something like that. But looks like she's dating again.
Good for Noi.
Um, someone honestly, the audacity of people. Someone messaged Lindy from San Diego and told her, I think they're watching on Netflix, to get tested to see if she's on the spectrum, that she shows all the symptoms of being on the spectrum. And Lindy just reposted to tell us, like, you can't do that. Like, I don't. I'm laughing because I can't believe it. I'm just trying to imagine me sitting there emailing someone and telling someone, "Oh, you need to do this, do that." Someone I don't know. So the audacity every day just always cracks me up.
It's just wild to. Because I feel like most of the people who do this are not medical professionals.
Yeah,
And so it's wild that it's like, oh, I'm not a doctor, and I am just going to diagnose somebody from watching snippets of them on television. That is insane.
yeah, and their intention is good because I think this particular person said, "I just got diagnosed and I'm in my 30s and all that stuff." But it's like again, you don't know this person. To your point, you're not a medical person. You don't have a degree. But I mean, Lindy was just like, "Listen, you're watching a very highly edited and produced show, so don't think you know anything to come tell me anything." And finally, looks like all my news was mostly from San Diego. Miguel reposted something that Morgan had posted, and then there was more pictures that Morgan had posted. Then there was a caption that was like, "Wish you were here," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then I'm like, "Is this just a teasing type thing? Are they friends, or is there more?" And then it looks like they went to Hawaii. I don't know if they went together with other people, but there were pictures. And then he posted him like being all muddied and all this stuff. And then she put in the caption, "I put the hoe with homies." And it was like my sister from another mother. So basically, I didn't know they were like these bestest of friends that traveled and went on adventures together. So it's either that or this is the beginning of something. I don't know, but this is just what was on Instagram.
I would not have guessed that. There was nothing that would have made me think that Miguel and Morgan were going to be the best of friends.
Exactly. So we were just saying how Morgan disappeared, and here we are.
Maybe she unblocked us.
um, that's all I got for this week. So we will take a break and talk about this season of Summer House Martha's Vineyard.
Life doesn't happen bi weekly, so why should payday? The money you make can be in your hands today with Earn In. EarnIn is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. Just download the EarnIn app and verify your paycheck. Then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. Summer is coming and it is time for all of us to go on vacation. You can use the money you earn from Earn In to buy a new bathing suit or some new clothes for your fun summer vacation.
Download EarnIn today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple App Store. When you download the EarnIn app, type in Alto Call under podcast. When you sign up, it'll really help the show. That's Alto Call under podcast. Subject to your available earnings, location, daily max, and pay period max. See earnin.com/TOS for details. EarnIn is a financial technology company, not a bank. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. If you're like me and looking to cut back on alcohol this year, Recess Zero Proof Craft Mocktails are the perfect alcohol replacement. They've recreated the cocktails you know and love, like their ginger lime mule and grapefruit paloma, which happen to be my favorites. You can enjoy the flavors and feelings of those cocktails without the booze. Zero proof, zero compromise. Listeners can get 15% of the Recess Mocktail Sampler at takearecess.com/autocallmafs.
You guys know I don't drink very much, so Recess is a great substitute while everybody else imbibes. It's a lightly sparkling mocktail infused with functional ingredients like uplifting guayusa and stress balancing adaptogens. Whether you're relaxing after work or hanging out with friends, make Recess mocktails your drink between drinks or your forever mocktail. Get 15% off Recess mocktails now at takearecess.com/altercallmafs so you can enjoy your favorite cocktails without the consequences.
Ladies, you know that vicious week before your period where you feel like you want to crawl out of your skin? You feel a little bit down or off, and those cravings when you feel like you could eat anything in sight? Well, there's a solution for that. Now it's easier to manage your PMS with Estro Control.
You have to try Hormone Harmony. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality. And it shows. For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code ALTERCALLMAFS at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code ALTARCALLMAFS for 15% off today. And we are back. And much like our Married at First Sight Denver girls, the Summer House Martha's Vineyard cast has chosen to wear pink for their reunion. I, of course, loved it because I love pink.
No one knew that, eh? That you love pink. I do love that they kept the theme of the black shows on Bravo having a theme for the reunion. I do love that Andy joined them and he also wore pink. He usually
Same.
doesn't.
It's what the whole thing with the Summer House Martha's Vineyard reunion is that this reunion was agitated for. There was like a full Twitter campaign. I have no idea if they planned to do a reunion before the campaign or after, but they announced a reunion. We were all happy. Then they decide to do a Bravo Clubhouse reunion. And I'm like, beggars can't be choosers. But I'm like, couldn't we have had a full set?
I
But that's
mean, to be fair, new shows usually start there. Like, some still don't even below deck. Still isn't getting like a consistent reunion all the time. So like you said, beggars can be choosers. So hopefully if they get renewed, they graduate to an actual reunion, because even White Summer House, when they first started, I was just rewatching season 2 the other day. It was a clubhouse situation, everyone on bar stools talking to Andy in the little room. So are we going through their looks?
sure. I mean, sure.
I took notes, so
Go ahead.
all right. So I'm just gonna do a rundown of my thoughts on their looks. Alex, just he looked nice because his face just really looks nice, but he needed more pink. And then his pants just look like flared khakis, so that really just threw me off.
I I only had strong feelings about maybe one or two outfits.
Oh, okay.
So you
Amir
go
and
ahead.
his All right. Amir and his sleeveless sweater. I guess I was trying to figure. I couldn't remember when they filmed the reunion. It's been a couple of months since they told us because you couldn't tell the weather by what we were watching, but he looked alright. It's okay. But Amir thinks like he could just come in, flirt with Andy, show his arms, and he'll be fine. But we're gonna get into it. He's gonna need a lot more than that. Now, Jordan, ugh. I I don't know what she was going for. The top was like a fruit roll up superhero type thing, but then the skirt was like cashmere. I don't know what that was, but then the heels were purple. Maybe the light made it look purple and it was pink. But then the halter top was like red and not quite pink. It didn't reflect as pink to us, the viewer, and I just didn't like the look. I liked her hair though.
Correct. I was like, I think that top is red, or is showing red, and I'm like, is it made of plastic? Is it made of glass? It's not cute. Is it
Nope.
leather? I didn't, or pleather? I had no idea what she was going for there. And the top and the bottom didn't really match to me. I mean, not match, but
Nope.
also didn't go together. So
Like
yes, that was my pick for worst dressed.
you're already cold. What's the point of wearing a warm skirt? And you're wearing heels. So, anyways, Bria, I am not a fan of like the bejeweled look or whatever, but it was cute. But her hair was on point, so that I would give her points for. Um, Shawnee's looked cute. I really loved her shoes though. They were very very cute. It was like the whole preppy thing, and it was just a different look, so I liked it. Jasmine
I
looked
wasn't sure
okay.
if I liked the bustier business on top with Shanice. I was like, it was giving like corset Bridgerton. I was like, I don't know if I like
Yeah.
this.
I don't know. That's actually was a pro for me because it just wasn't the huge. It was it. She tried something different. I wouldn't say it was like greatest, but she tried something different and it wasn't like terrible. Jasmine looked okay. The things on her shoulders looked like wings, so again, kind of threw me off. Um, Noelle looked nice, but it's the we have seen the Herve Leger bandage dress for years now, for many times. So I'm just like, really, this is what we wore to the reunion, our first reunion. So that was my only critique. Preston, Preston was also worst dressed for me. He was giving me TLC creep video vibes. It didn't go with the boots, and then it was supposed to be like I don't know if it was supposed to be a crop top, but you could see like his belly, so it was like open and it was supposed to be, and then the chest, it was V, it was deep too. So we're seeing chest, we're seeing stomach, but then there was a hat too. It was a lot. Not a fan.
I mean, it probably was too much, but because it was pink, I enjoyed it.
Aid. All pink is not good pink.
I know that's true. I know that's true, but I remember just thinking Preston like stood out, and I just enjoyed the dare of it. Or maybe I just like Preston, and I'll forgive him most anything. Um,
Okay. Summer was cute. There's nothing. It was just like a tube top dress, I guess, that was long. And to me, Nick was best dressed, had the monochromatic up top with the light pink shirt and the jacket and black pants, no socks, and he looked good. And that's my rundown.
so the seating chart for the reunion was quite interesting, and it goes through and greets everybody. I mean, when your favorite Preston is on the end, you panic a little, but I really wasn't sure who could be on the end, so I was like, I guess it's okay. So Andy says hi to Preston. I noticed that Jasmine got a first chair, even though her role in this group is just kind of interesting, and I wouldn't have necessarily put her in first chair, but there she was. Bria is first chair on the other side. Andy like asked about Milo. Milo's in Germany. I'm assuming with Simon. He asked Jordan what her number one turn up song is. She says "Back That Ass Up" from Juvenile. I was like, yes.
Can I just say that I didn't think that their seating arrangements was because of what we usually think it is with the housewives? I didn't think it
What?
was based on importance.
Why do you think? Do you think there was no rhyme or reason to it?
I think it was more aesthetically. Like some colors reflect more on the camera, and they always, you know how they say, don't wear certain colors, don't wear this, you can't sit two people wearing certain colors together and all that. I think there was all that included in how they chose people to sit. But I didn't think it was based on their contribution to the season. Because there's no way in hell Jasmine would get first chair based on that. And
So
Preston is a
Andy,
fan fave, and he wouldn't be at the end.
so Andy asks Amir if Natalie has cut off his penis, and he reassures us that it is still there. Andy asked Alex if he got any advice from John and Chrissy. I'm sure he's like, I really have to talk about my famous cousin every time. You sure do. And he says their advice was just be me. I'm like, if that's their advice going into reunion, that's not good advice. You got to be a little bit more strategic than that.
They did not give him any advice.
Ah, they're too busy kicking girls out of photo booths.
Oh, you
Um,
realize that that was fake, right? That girl is
no.
known for her. She's known for her controversial content. So she goes in there and creates stuff and then posts it like it's something. So yeah, and he did ask. So, anyways, I digress.
So Andy asks his first question, and it's a doozer. He says, oh, when new girl Noelle was looking for a connection with her vegan housemate Alex, I don't know why we had to throw the vegan part in there, she assumed she was in the clear. And then Summer reminded everyone that Alex had indeed been inside of her. That is verbatim what Andy said. Um, they show a whole package of Alex supposedly being a player. My favorite is Jasmine saying, Alex is like the bachelor. He's got options. So then Andy asks who ended things with Summer and Alex. Was there a ghosting? Alex says that he communicated that he wasn't in it. Summer says it was a lie. He says the last time they saw each other, they decided um, the last time they hooked up, I told her I wasn't interested. Andy asked if Summer thought they were good, and she said she was. So, who broke up with who? We don't know. Tane, what do you think?
I think that Alex said that he did not want anything serious. She was invested and she interpreted it the way that she wanted to interpret it. I mean, I said this the last time we talked about some. They keep calling him a fuckboy, and I keep wanting to know why he's a fuckboy. I still don't know why.
Later on, Jasmine says she doesn't know either.
Yeah,
So the next question is a viewer question. They're like, why did you tell everybody that he had been inside of you, but you did not tell Noelle after Noelle told you that she was interested in him? Summer tries to say that she did tell Noelle. Noelle is like, I'm going to stop that lie. Then Summer backtracks a little, says it was a miscommunication. She said they hung out. She assumed that Noelle would understand what hanging out meant.
come on.
But
Like,
then she tries to like flip it around because she's like, well, after I told her, she still went after him. And she said she doesn't go after other people's men. It's like, but that wasn't the question. The question was,
yeah,
why didn't you tell her beforehand? Maybe it was a miscommunication. I don't really think I buy it. But Noelle's like, okay, the part where I went after him afterward, that's on me. But no, you never told me.
yeah. I mean, in conclusion, Summer is a shady, shady, shade. She has something against Noelle.
I think what I gleaned from this reunion that I didn't quite understand before is I thought Noelle and Summer were actual friends before this, and I just don't know. I think that they were not friends before this. I'm not even sure if they knew each other before this.
Yeah. You know, that's a good thing because I also thought they came to. How were we introduced to Noelle?
I can't remember how Noelle was even introduced to the show. Anyway, Andy like follows up with Noelle. So when you decided to pursue him, you knew he'd been inside of her. And she's like, well, we're all in the house together. We're going to flirt. I think she was a little bit more intentional about it than just flirting, but that's okay. Another viewer question, how is Alex an F boy? He seems clear in his intentions. Jasmine is like, yeah, this F boy thing is foreign to her. And then someone tries to point out that, oh, you've never like dated him or whatever or slept with him. And she's like, I'm just saying, I've known him a long time. I didn't know he was a F boy. Alex tries to defend himself and say that he could have been an F boy and done it with Noelle because she's beautiful. I feel like Noelle was kind of like, I never agreed to this. She's like, don't bring me into this. Um, it
I
created
think
some
that was
confusion, I think.
yeah, and I think that was another misunderstanding because my understanding of what Alex was trying to say was like, I could have been a fuckboy. Clearly, she was interested. Clearly, she's beautiful. I don't want anything serious. I could go ahead and just talk and have it not lead anywhere, and then I'll be called a fuckboy because at the end of the day, someone always catches feelings. Note, I'm not saying it's always the woman, but in situations like that, someone always catches feelings, and he's like, instead, I just backed away completely instead of getting into it at all. And I think everybody misunderstood that or read that a different way, and everyone was like, "Oh, why would you say that? Who do you think you are?" And I'm like, "Okay, maybe I'm the weird one."
No, I agree with you. That's probably what he meant. It didn't come out well once he involved Noelle. If he had said I could have been like pursuing people and bringing them back to the house, but I didn't. I don't know. There were a lot of ways he could have been like, I chose not to be an F boy on purpose. I think he made a good case for himself, actually, in this whole argument. So, next question is about Summer and the picture she took of him and sent to Jordan. And Jordan insists that it's not creepy. Andy asks a really good question. He said, so if you guys had just done a selfie and sent it to Jordan, do you think that Alex would have been mad? And Summer says he would have been like, nah. And I'm like, so you knew that he didn't want. I'm not saying that it's like the craziest thing in the world, but it did seem kind of weird to like take a picture of someone while they're not aware that you're taking a picture of them, send it to your friend when you know you all have mutuals. I guess you could be very open and honest about the fact, like, I'm not trying to make this a secret, so I'm going to tell our friends and they might just know. But I don't think it was like that. I think he probably told her, like, I don't want our group to know about this. And she decided to tell Jordan anyway.
I don't know what Jordan's talking about. It was creepy. She clearly has deeper feelings. The man is trying to be like, hey, we're just hooking up. I don't want anybody to know, blah, blah, blah. Is either you agree to the terms and conditions or you withdraw yourself from the situation. But she took a picture, snuck it in. Why weren't you like, oh, hey, I just took a picture of you. I'm going to send it to Jordan. It's cute. You know why you didn't say it. Why would you send it on the low? So that's what made it creepy.
And Jordan didn't do any good either by telling Nick, who then called him and was like, oh, I heard you're hanging out with Summer. If Jordan was just supposed to receive the picture and be like, okay, my friend is hanging out with him, why'd she feel the need to tell other people? Forward the picture,
Yep.
whatever she did.
For me, it's just you didn't tell the man that his picture is floating around. Like what? Forget them even sleeping together. Imagine I took a picture of you, Aid, and like I'm hanging out or whatever, and I take a picture, and maybe it's even a picture, maybe you don't like it or something, and I send it to someone. I was like, "Hey, guess who I'm hanging out with?" And I didn't tell you. Then you find out that I took a picture of you while we were in the same room, and you find out from someone who's in another state, like, "Oh, I didn't know you were hanging out with Tane." It's just weird all around.
Agreed. Agreed. So on his Watch What Happens Live appearance, Alex said something about Summer leaving him voice notes like a crazy ex girlfriend. She was like, I can't believe he said this. I only left one voice note. Shanice is happy to not be the crazy one, and Andy is happy for her. Because I guess last year she got that. She's like, oh, okay, Summer's a crazy one this season because she's sending voice notes.
Mhm.
So I guess the clear up there is that she said sent one voice note, and Alex did not dispute that there was only one voice note. Andy wants to know if Alex and Noelle ever hooked up. Answer is no. He asks about Summer and Noelle and if they're friends. They say we're cordial, which is code. I mean, I can't stand when these people say we're cordial. Um, Noelle says that the stories don't align. So basically, she's saying Summer's a liar, which I think is truthful. And at one point, Summer agrees, like, oh, our stories don't align. And then Noelle adds in on your part. Clarify
Let's
that
not get
stories
it
don't
twisted.
align. Amir is up next, and he's asked about Natalie's. He's the one who said that she will cut off my dick. I just want to make that clear, unless I'm forgetting.
Mhm.
He is the one who said it.
Yeah.
So Andy is asking about the comment, and Amir says he was trying to be funny and that she trusts him. Andy's like, "Well, it seems like she don't trust you." And he starts talking about how, well, she doesn't know how he's been behaving. They've only been together for a year.
Like, I thought he was gonna say we've only been together for 2 months. I was like, a year is, a significant amount of time for her to trust you. But okay.
Andy asks what her reaction was to the women calling her standoffish. Amir does not answer the question. He just says she is standoffish. Basically, okay, they just spoke the truth.
Yeah.
Um, Andy asks about her talking about how she makes more, well, she makes more in a month than he makes in a year, and that it came off disrespectful. And everybody, like, in agreement with Andy's question. And Amir talks about how he doesn't mind he chose to be with a powerful woman. Da, da, da. And I'm like, but that's really not what was asked. Andy does a group poll for who thinks that Natalie and Amir are good for each other. Everybody is silent. No one raises their hand. Jasmine says they're very cute together. A couple others back that up that they look very attractive together. But no one really says, oh, we think they're great together. Because they're not. Amir says that they bought a house together. Very unclear. He says that it's under his name, but she's on the deed. Let me tell you, people, there's only two things about buying a house together: a mortgage and a deed. So I'm like, okay, is she on the mortgage or is she on the deed or is she on both? If you find yourself in a choice, you want to be on the deed and not on the mortgage because that's better for you. And that's what it sounds like Natalie's in.
Amir's an idiot. Oh man, I have nothing to say to this.
Ah, um, Andy talks about how Candace from Real Housewives of Potomac is a big fan and that she described Natalie's answers to the future of their relationship as corporate America answers. Amir once again tried to defend this nonsense. Well, they want to grow professionally, and he could have answered from a real estate perspective. What he said actually made no sense to me. Um, Amir says the next step is a ring. They're working on it. So Andy asks when Natalie instructed him to propose. Everybody's laughing. And Amir says that he is told when the time is right and it's 80 degrees outside. I want you all to know that Amir lives in Austin, Texas. It is hot as hell. I don't know when it will be 80 degrees in Austin, Texas this year. Maybe October? September at the earliest?
I mean, I was just grateful that it seemed like Andy actually watched the show.
Yes.
So that's one hurdle passed. So he could make the quips. Like when he said, when did she instruct you to propose? Before that, when he said they bought a house together, Andy said, oh, what could go wrong? And they all just whooped and hollered. And it reminded me of our conversation where we were talking about a successor for Andy. Because we need someone who can be shady like this, where they're going to be like, ha ha ha, so funny, Andy, versus being offended. How are we going to find this?
Oh, I will also say that for some reason my cable was not working. So I watched the extended and uncut version of this reunion. I don't really know what they added in from the regular reunion that was on TV, but just in case yeah.
Oh yes, we should have set that up top, guys. The version we watched was the Peacock version, which apparently everyone was talking about was completely different, which I don't understand again because now it sounds like it was two different shows. And so if there are things that you're like, what are these people watching? That's why we watched the Peacock version.
Perfect. Um, so then this was funny because someone in the cast asked a question. So Noel asked why he told Natalie that all the girls in the house were crazy about him. There was so much. This was one of those things that I was like, this has to be from the extended version. Everybody is just talking. I have no idea what anybody is saying. There's so much crosstalk. I managed to hear Preston say that it was crazy or something like that. So finally, the crosstalk stops, and Amir is like, I was told that you guys were trying to fuck me. And Shanice says she was horny and there were no other guys. Then there's so much more yelling and crosstalk.
Yeah, you could tell it was their first reunion. There was a number of times that happened, but this was the worst. It was just a lot of talking at the same time.
I still remember one time listening to an interview with Candace, and she was talking about going on girls' trip. And she's like, in our franchise, we let each other speak because we know that everybody needs to be picked up on the microphone individually. And when I went on girls' trip, all these other franchises, they just talk all over each other. I'm like, Candace, you might tell your Summer House Martha's Vineyard people the same thing.
They'll learn. They'll learn.
So next up, Summer gets her little package, and Andy calls it a cruel summer. He tells us Summer left early, which Summer left like 24 to 48 hours before everybody was leaving anyway. I wasn't sure
Hmm.
if it was one of her family issues, like maybe checking on her grandma after the surgery, like something, because this whole left early, she left 48 hours early at most. It wasn't that
Yeah,
early.
she left 2 days before. Yeah,
And so they show a whole package of Summer just arguing with everybody. And arguing is actually not really what happened because a lot of times it's just Summer yelling at people. Uh,
lashing out.
I I like the term lashing out is very pro. Oh, I couldn't help myself because of my life circumstances. Uh, so Andy talks about how Summer was dealing with a lot. He asks how she's doing. She starts crying. She says she's better now, but it was hard to watch, which I'm actually very grateful to hear. That she is better now. But of course, when you watch this, it sends you back to whatever mental state you were in. Um, she says, when you're hurting, you hurt people. And she said a lot of things she's not proud of. And that Preston and Jordan were definitely there for her, but she didn't know how to ask for help. And he says a lot of anger came out towards Bria. I remember thinking in that moment, yeah, it would. She's, not that Bria really did anything to Summer, but just in general, Bria is an easy person to probably be yelling at.
She's annoying.
As Preston says, she's a brat. Auntie then tells us, because I surely didn't know, that Noelle follows everybody on the cast but Summer.
Okay. So the whole thing with Summer, two things. One thing that happened during the season when she had that fight and she shoved Noelle and all that stuff. She did say in all her yelling that it just seemed like the friendship between Bria and Shawnice, I think, was light, and that's what she was envious of. That she wasn't coming light, and then even Noelle, that's new with them. I can understand what that means. I feel like there was a time in my life where I was going through so much stuff and I felt like I was the friend with all the heavy stuff, and you don't want to feel that way. She just didn't express herself the right way. She just wanted it to be a lightness and for her to enjoy the friendship, but I don't know all the things that she was going through, at the time that caused it to get to this point, because to what you just said, Preston and Jordan were trying to be there for her. And I hear her saying that she's not able to ask for help, but it's actually a pet peeve of mine. I don't know if it's like being insensitive, but not being able to ask for help is not a flex. I understand that some consider it, yes, a trauma response, but I do think it's one of those things that you need to outgrow. Like, you need to work on it, because if it causes you to do this, it just seems a hell of a lot easier to just ask for help than whatever all of this was throughout the whole season.
And I can like understand just not having the tools, but I think the next part is where I'm like, that's true too. So Alex asks, is it possible to be dealing with difficult things and still be kind?
Yeah,
And Noelle says, when people show you who you are, believe them. Shout out Maya Angelou. But just because you were going through stuff, and I'm not saying she even asked for it here, but
yeah,
there are consequences. Like if you do not handle your stuff correctly, people may not want to be friends with you. They may not want to re-engage with you. Maybe you feel like you're over it or you feel like you're better, but your actions from back then still have consequences.
yeah, agreed.
So Summer says in response to Alex's thing, like, can you still be dealing with stuff and be kind? She says it's possible, but she didn't have the tools. Then Andy moves on to Jordan, and why did she get upset with Summer for talking about her alopecia when everyone knew? Jordan says not everyone knew. Jasmine clarifies that when she was on Watch What Happens Live, she said that she knew, not everyone knew, which is true. So Andy thanks Jordan for speaking out about her alopecia. How's she doing now? She says she's doing well, but she's going through another flare up. I wonder if it's related to stress and the show airing. Um, So she started treatments and she'll see how it goes. I wasn't sure if Jordan had alopecia or another hair loss disease, and it wasn't really clear to me. I mean, she didn't dispute it when he said alopecia, but I didn't think that she had alopecia. I just thought she was having like hair loss. Not very important, but they talked a lot about how very like not me not knowing is not important, but they talk a lot about
Oh,
how like her having awareness is raising awareness is good, and Noelle says like sometimes it's not talked about in the black community, so it's good that Jordan was open about it on national television.
oh, okay. Yes, she mentioned it during the season. There was a whole segment, and then she was upset about it, and she mentioned that she had alopecia.
Okay. I've known people with alopecia, and I didn't think it was treatable.
Sometimes it works. So for some, like their hair just starts growing back, and they get it back, and then sometimes it just regresses. So yeah, it is. I think it just has different stages or different levels, because I don't know who can predict an autoimmune disease.
Yeah, yeah. I think I just missed the alopecia diagnosis. I think I just heard it as hair loss.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
which we know we missed. At least me personally, I missed a lot of things in the season, so that's understandable. Uh, so next, Andy asked about Preston and the situation with his dad's family after his dad passed away. He's like, yeah, things are worse, and collection agencies are calling him and his sister. I just want to be like, just make sure you don't take responsibility for any debt for a dead person. Heirs do not inherit debt. Once again, kind of asked Summer about not sharing with Jordan and Preston. And she says that everybody close to her who's been a caregiver has left, and it's a trust that she has to build. And when Preston told her that he wasn't going anywhere, like during the season, and they flash back to it, she completely broke down because he was like promising to be there. And Preston says, oh, I'm sorry, Summer says that Preston is the love of her life. Jordan is too, but they're having a moment.
Mm. Um, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but her grandmother, who is her caretaker, is still in her life, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So then there's a question, and this is a season one thing where Summer was looking for her dad or trying to figure out who her dad was. And basically, she explained that there was a guy on Facebook who I think he said, oh, there's no way I'm your dad. But she did a 23andMe, and lo and behold, he's her dad. Andy was all like excited for her, and then she's like, oh, it's not a good thing. It was just nice to know. And that she has great male figures, grandfather, uncle. She named a couple others. So it's not like she's missing anything, but she did just want to know, and that feels good.
And those people are caretakers in her life, still there, right?
I don't know what she meant by that, and no one asked her. I
Okay.
assumed, I was like, maybe it's non family. I don't know. Like, maybe she's
I
talking about close friends or people who, I
mhm.
don't know, her nanny. I don't know.
Okay, I'm just asking. Hey, just asking. Just wanted to make sure. I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay.
Andy asked if she spent the summer with the group, and I was actually kind of shocked by her answer because she says smaller doses. I think that's a level of self awareness that most people on reality TV just cannot do. Who knows if they ask her back next year? But for now, she's like, no, I probably shouldn't be in a house all summer with these people.
It was funny to me because my first thought was like, yes, she's the only one that's with me. She'd rather do summer house every weekend than 2 weeks straight. But that's half a joke. And the other thing was like, it's funny Andy's asking, like, does she have a choice? Like, it's like she's not the one casting. Like, they could ask her. I just feel like there's something about reality TV that people don't know how to say no to. So it's hard for me to believe that they'll ask her to come back and she'll be like, no, I'm not coming back for another season.
She's like, can I come in like every 3 days or so for like a day?
Friend of.
So then Preston, which I had mentioned this, I think, when we did our first episode, that when Preston was on Watch What Happens Live, he was like, I didn't think he liked Bria very much based on his responses. And so Andy asks, hey, so on Watch What Happens Live, you were shading Bria a lot. Does he like her or tolerate her to make her happy? Andy's like, you guys are always saying I love you. And Preston's like, I do love her. And then they get to a good place, but then currently he's blocked. And he was blocked 2 days before Watch What Happens Live, so that wasn't it. And he looks at Bria like a sibling, and it's for them to understand. And he asks if she'll unblock him, and Bria says, well, I want to make it work, but that Preston's done a lot of shading. He shaded how she looked. And then they show a clip from the first season where Preston says that Bria looks like someone who spent forever getting ready for a Miss USA pageant and didn't make it. Now the worst part about what Preston said is like
He
it
was
was
right.
funny.
Oh,
I
right.
was yeah, it was funny and it was right. It was like
Yes.
and then they flashed to Bria and you're like, oh, I could totally see that visual.
I think
So she says that
one of the funniest comments, I can't remember if we said it the first time, was how everyone was like, you know how we joke on maps, like everyone braids their hair, but no one braids their hair for the entire 2 weeks in Summer House Martha's Vineyard, even though they get into the water and all that stuff. So that made me laugh.
I'm sure they've required some deep conditioner after filming is over. Um, Bria says she feels singled out and shaded and jaded, and Preston apologizes. But Preston, he tries to like redeem himself a little. He's like, well, you're just talking about filming. So basically, oh, I'm mean to you on camera. But in real life, we have a whole relationship. And that, I mean, I think I missed this completely, but apparently she got into some trouble in the south of France. It was in the tabloids. And he said that he was calling attorneys on her behalf, supporting her from far away. And she agrees, yeah, you supported me. And he's just like, well, I do a lot for you when we're not filming. And then he says Simon was there and he wasn't supporting you. She's quick to say that Simon got her out of jail. And Preston says that she never said thank you. And Bria says she did. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't think that that was the greatest argument. Like, I do nice things for you off camera is not a good defense to maybe you aren't very
Yeah,
nice on camera. And I
yeah,
also, this was like the third or fourth, I don't know, Ellie Noel. And I don't know, these people in their whole, oh, we're working on, we're making up, oh, we fight, but then we're back together. Oh, we block each other. I just grow up, everybody. Grow up.
yeah. Again, we have to remember that they're newbies and they need to learn where their friendship lies. Is it during filming? Is it not during filming? But I think it actually makes me worry about the future. Like, you can't be with each other if you don't like each other. And they're so young to have factions. Not young as a people, but like young as a show to already be this divisive. So if you're going to be on there and you're going to fake the funk and just be their favorite word, cordial with each other, that's not fun. So I don't know how they're going to solve that, but a lot of people don't seem to be in good spots, and summer is right around the corner. What are they going to do?
Well, they were casting. So, but I also don't want anybody on the show who's not currently friends with somebody. Like, I think that's one of the
Yeah,
things that makes the show work.
yeah, yeah. Maybe they just get other people. One of the people at the party was someone that was on Love Island USA. She's already in. Get somebody in there. I mean, I'm sure they have other friends. Would you want Mariah back?
I mean, she was such a chaos agent that kind of, yeah, just to see what she can do for a whole season.
Okay. I think it would be good to see what her energy would be like, because that energy when she first came, she did not want to be there. Either she didn't want to be there or it was just not a good time in her life to be there. So I think it might be good to see what you could offer.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess that solves the whole mystery of why Preston was mad at Bria, but he couldn't really say it on camera. It's that thing you tell us how they're fighting about something off camera, but they can't really quite say it. So he was mad that she didn't seem grateful enough that he helped her
You know,
when she was taken to jail.
something I just didn't think about is did this South of France thing happen between before they started filming season two, or did it happen in the past 9 months, 10 months it's been since they shot season two? Because that was unclear to
Uh,
me.
I think it was right before they shot season 2. I vaguely remember her at, I want to say, Cannes, some film festival because I was like, why is she here? So that's my guess. Cannes is happening right now, so I think it's sometime last year. So that's
I'm
my guess, right
probably
before
before.
season two. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's what it is. Um. All right, guys. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. And we are back. So Andy asks Bria what she thinks the biggest obstacle with Simon is, and if the long distance helps or hurts. And it's not really Andy. Honestly, Andy relied heavily on a lot of viewer questions. So she says it hurts because he's used to having her around to cook, clean, help with his business, and it suddenly hit me. I'm like, what does Bria do? Have we ever gotten a job description for Bria?
So I feel like they put it on Chirons all the time, and it's like it might be she might have the one that says production assistant something something. So in answer to your question, no, I don't know what Bria does for a living, but I feel like we've been told.
Okay, someone's gonna tell us. But also later in the episode, she mentions that Simon is a multimillionaire. If he's a millionaire, why are you cooking and cleaning and doing that? He can pay people to do that. But I digress. But she says the biggest issue is that Simon doesn't listen and doesn't value her feelings. Andy asked her why she was so upset about the flamenco incident. For those who didn't watch, there was an incident, and Simon likes to be funny and silly, and he walks in with a flamenco, what do I call it? Doll blow up thingy, trying to be funny, but it was just wrong timing. She said that Nick had an event for his line brother that died, and Nick is a perfectionist. And Bria had told Simon that he this was not the time to do it, but she told him when he could do it, what area he could be, but he still went ahead and did it, and she thought it was disrespectful. And they asked Nick if he appreciates that Bria was standing up for him, and he's like, "Yes, I appreciate it." And he says, "Thank you for that." Bria says that it was important to show the history of black colleges, and dating a white man, she has to constantly tell him about black history, and that was a moment where he blew it and embarrassed her. Andy asked if she and Simon have a shot, and the group was silent again, and then I think Jasmine was like, if they want. I was like, what kind of answer is that? And then they all agreed to. Amira says that Simon needs to get to a place where he genuinely listens and respects Bria. And I'm like, what the fuck are these people talking about? Sometime in the season while they were fighting, she mentioned some of Simon's family being racist towards her and him not backing her up. That is enough reason for you to get the hell out of there. Like, why do you want to be with someone whose family is racist? I don't care that you are not. If you are around your family being racist towards me and you're not backing me up, I'm not signing up for a lifetime of that.
Plenty of people seem to not see that as a deal breaker, and it's very strange to me.
Yeah, so I don't know, which is partly why I'm asking what does she do? Because is it the money? Is it the life of leisure? I don't know, but it's not worth it to me. And then Summer tries, and Summer says, is it like a language barrier or something? And Bria's like, no, it's not. So Andy asked her about the soulmate in Tribeca thing. And earlier in the season, all the girls were talking, and they asked if she thought Simon was her soulmate. And she said that no, he's not. Her soulmate is in Tribeca, which seemed so specific that it was like, at first I was like, does she just want someone that lives in Tribeca, or is there actually someone that lives in Tribeca? And she was like, yeah, we're probably going to get married, but he's not going to be my soulmate or anything. And I'm like, wow. And Bria says that that person is in the past, and she does not consider it a red flag that she will marry Simon, but is not her soulmate. I kind of understand what she's saying. I do have the belief that I don't necessarily believe in soulmates. I think that you can marry any number of people and you can make it work. The degree of how hard or easy it's going to be is what varies with people. Now, Jasmine takes it home and says, if I was Simon, that would be hurtful. And I'm like,
Exactly.
yes, it would be hurtful. You don't have to say everything that you think in your mind. And that's the thing. Bria just vomits whatever is in her mind, and she never really stops to think about it, whether it makes sense, whether it's hurtful. Her goal is just like, at least I'm being honest. And I don't know, there's a line and there's a limit.
I mean, with children, when they say things, you're like, is it kind? Is it helpful? Does it need to be said? And it feels like no one ever went over that with Bria.
No, nobody did. I think I would like to, well, we can't see that, but I really would like to see more of their family. I think it gives better understanding as to where they're coming from, which is the difference between this and the original Summer House. Is like, because they have those weekends, we get to see a little bit more of their background, how they grew up and their interactions with their parents and stuff like that. So I don't know. I always think that gives more insight into who people are. Andy says that he heard a rumor that there are members of the group that feel like Simon is using Bria for clout. And she's like, he doesn't need to. He's a multimillionaire. And she's like, but he likes what I do. They don't have this kind of reality shows in Germany, so this is big to him. And he says, isn't that using you? And then he asks, well, is anyone here? Would they like to enlighten Bria on, their thoughts, what's happening? And again, this is where they show that they're newbies, because Andy shouldn't have to prompt you. You should have picked up that cue and started talking immediately. They do start talking immediately, but they all start talking at once again. And then finally, Amir is like, we have all approached her in different ways. Jasmine was like, listen, I spoke to her mom. I told her mom that he loves the attention at inappropriate times. I'm like, what does that mean? But okay. They move on to Jasmine and they talk about Silas. And I don't know if you have any insight on this. Why do they keep saying that he deployed to Eastern Europe versus saying, I think he went to Poland?
He
Why
went
did
to
they just say
Poland.
that? Why do they
I
keep saying
mean,
Eastern Europe?
generally speaking, you don't really want to talk about troop movements on TV, where U.S. military personnel are. I mean, I get that everybody knows. I have a coworker who deployed to Poland, probably to the same place. But I understand why they're just like, let's just keep it Eastern Europe.
Well, I mean, next time they should keep it consistent because they already told us that it was Poland. So I just found it interesting that they started saying Eastern Europe towards the end. They play a montage of her pregnancy, and at the end, Jasmine is tearing up at her announcing that she was pregnant. And Andy asks who has been the least supportive and the most supportive of her pregnancy before and after birth, which is a shady question, by the way. Jasmine says she would be lying if she didn't say she was pissed off about comments about Silas and the pregnancy, as she should. And what she's referring to is what Jordan said when she was like, "Oh, this is her first baby, and Silas's first." I mean, well, we hope. What is Silas's first baby? I don't know why she said that, but Jasmine said she would be lying if she said that they were all copacetic, but they talked about it, and she appreciates Jordan taking accountability, but they still have stuff to work out. Jordan claims it's her sense of humor, and she didn't mean it that way, and then she apologizes again. What is the humor, Aid? Like, let's hypothetically discuss what could potentially be funny.
The thing is, I have heard that joke before and it was funny, but I feel like you have to be the one making the joke. Someone else can't make that joke about you.
Oh, okay. You're not on the best of terms with the person, so maybe let's just keep it cordial. So
Well,
Andy
this is
asks,
the problem. I think that lots of people run into this problem on Housewives, on these shows. You are sitting there with these confessionals, trying to be witty, trying to be funny, trying to have a moment, and then you do it at your friend's expense and at the expense of your relationships.
mhm,
And sometimes it backfires. And that's what happened with Jordan.
okay. Andy asks who missed having Silas this summer. Again, there was silence. These people don't have a mind of their own. And then when there's silence, then somebody just raises their hand. And then Jasmine raises up her hands. Then Bria and Alex do. And then Andy singles out Preston and is like, oh, you didn't raise your hand. And Preston's like, honestly, you can't miss what doesn't exist, that they haven't communicated, they don't have a relationship. And I'm just like, again, this is just way too many rifts for a show in the second season. Andy asks what caused the rift with Jasmine this summer. And Jasmine is like, yeah, good question, because I want to know too. I want to know. Tane wants to know too. Summer says that she had a rift with Jasmine. They resolved it. So when the whole Jamaica thing came up, she asked them about Jamaica. Shanice was the first to say no. Then second was Jordan, and because they weren't talking, so Summer just kind of threw them all under the bus. Was giving the order of people who said no. So Jasmine asked Shanice, like, if we had an issue, I didn't know. And Shanice is like, no, no one was getting along with you. I just didn't want the drama to come along, which I think is a valid reason. Alex and Jasmine ask, okay, so but why wasn't she getting? Who wasn't she getting along with? So Jasmine asked Preston directly, like, what is your take? And I'm asking, like, what your take is because you met them through me. Preston says, is that supposed to be some kind of shade? And then Andy's like, at what point do the relationships stand on their own without her? I get it. I get that he's built relationships because Preston was like, well, relationships are just not like how you met, is how you sustain it. But I get what she's saying. Like, okay, you met them through me, so you know me and you know them. If there's some issue with them, you could come to me, like you didn't even ask me what is going on, like, could there be some kind of peace, like could we even talk? She says that she sees him as the elderly statesman, meaning that he's neutral and that he stood at her wedding, so it's very, very hurtful that he never even checked. Preston says, let's not reinvent history, and Jasmine says, let's not. And unfortunately, Andy moves on and there was no resolve on this.
I think Jasmine made a really strong case here. At the end of the day, if you met through me and then you start leaving me out of stuff, that's hurtful. And if you do it in a way that's less than open, that's doubly hurtful. But of course, people aren't going to be open about the fact that they're leaving you out of stuff. So yeah, and I do think Preston was being a little like obtuse on purpose. Like, oh, just because we met through each other doesn't mean. Yes, it does mean something. You couldn't call her and be like, "We're going to Jamaica without you. Here's why things are not good between us." Like, you don't owe anybody that. But I definitely feel like Jasmine has the right to be pissed about it.
Yes, absolutely. I am glad that Jasmine got to say her piece because I felt like all season she bit her tongue just to keep the peace this season because they were icing her out. No one gave an actual thing of what happened or something that she's done. And I'm not sure why everyone just won't say that it is because of Jordan. They're taking sides and they're taking Jordan's sides. Like, yes, Jasmine was really annoying season one. I'm not gonna take that away. Like, she was really annoying and she was coming on too strong. And then just say either you're taking Jordan's side or you're just like, you know what? I just don't fuck with you. Like, I don't like your vibes or whatever, and I don't want you on vacation. So I think Preston, like you said, owed that to her to at least get her side or to at least tell her because I do think that friendships move and shift and they're not always the same. So you could meet through them and maybe they like each other better. Like you said, it is hurtful, but things happen. I don't know that there's a nice way to cut someone out. So Andy asks why Jordan is really mad at Jasmine. She says she was confused, that she wasn't being authentic, and we're going all the way back to season one. Jasmine says that she wants to address how she didn't know how to navigate all the things that she navigated in her life. That sometimes you meet people and you change, and Jordan might still see her there, and for her, she is evolving. What she wants is to be able to check Jordan when she's being aggressive or not saying what she wants to say, and vice versa. Jordan agrees, which I was surprised. I thought Jordan was going to be offended by that. But it's like, yeah, she came in hot. Yes, she didn't know how to navigate the life or whatever that she was leading. But I think she did make a point where she said, well, because Jordan did make a comment that she didn't know who this Jasmine was. And she still saw her as, what was it? They were Playboy bunnies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe she still sees her there and she's evolved. You have all the right to evolve, but don't go telling someone like, I know you want this, you have to have this, you have to have a mirror, and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that there's a flip side. I had a conversation with a friend. You know how everybody talks about how, oh, this person's married, they've changed, they've done this, but no one talks about the other side where the people who aren't married change towards the person that's married. There's also that, but it doesn't get as much of a spotlight as the person who got married. And I don't know if it's just like a black community thing. I don't know if it's like all around or just a general thing. Do you think?
Well, I, of course, people change. Their priorities change. Then you start. I think it's socially, it's a little odd to distinguish because it's like, well, as far as invitations go or opportunities to spend time together go, there shouldn't be much difference between dating and married. I think that's part of
Yeah.
my confusion over the whole changing thing. Like the changes occur when you couple up, but not necessarily when you get married.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking if it's like I don't know if it's like a cultural thing because I know I can speak for definitely like with some of my African American friends or my African friends, it's like a thing of, oh, you're married now, you can't do this or do that. Like it's just in their mind, you can't do that. I don't know who put the laws or put that. I'm a married woman now, you have to be respectable and all that stuff. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the energy that Jasmine was bringing also, you know. So if you're listening to this, I would like to hear people's take on this, if this is like a cultural thing that you know, where that happens and people start thinking like you had a lobotomy because you coupled up but you got married, you know.
I don't think it's a lobotomy. I think it's an expectation of availability.
Yeah, but you
So people
can't.
just assume your availability or your willingness to do things based on your marital status. But I think the flip side of that is some of those assumptions are based on, well, I asked you once, you said no because, oh, my husband can't come, or can my husband come to the thing that your husband wasn't invited to? And next thing you know, the person just stops. They're like, well, okay, I've been given the information I need to proceed forward. I won't be asking him or her to do that again.
And that's a fair point, but sometimes it's just an assumption with no basis at all.
Fair enough.
So there's the montage of Nick and the whole thing of being handsy, being touchy, and then Natalie telling Tasia and Natalie patting Tasia's hair. Oh, every time I see that, it makes my blood boil. That wasn't addressed also, but you know. Nick said he looked back at the montage and he's just like he wants to change his behavior and he also doesn't want to be angry and yelling at people. That he says his intent is not like when he's touching his friends or being handsy when they're talking. It's not to give a booty scoop, which I thought was funny. I was like, what the hell? A booty scoop. Jordan was like, for her, it wasn't any of that. It was more like if she was in a relationship, like she wouldn't like that her boyfriend was that handsy with people. And Andy asked him, "Do you see that?" And he says, "Yeah. When I see the playback, I'm like, oh, I see it." That we find out that the rest of the cast didn't know that he had had a discussion with Shanice and Jordan, which is the other thing about reality TV. We assume that everybody has the same point of view of what we are watching as a viewer. But I don't know. That really surprised me that the rest of the cast didn't know that they had had a
I
conversation.
don't I don't think it's unreasonable that if you observe a show with a cast of what is it, 8 people, and four
Yeah.
of them know that the other four should know. I mean, I understand how that could happen, but I'm like, it's a reasonable assumption that if 50% of the cast had a discussion and no one talked about it, that's interesting.
Yes. Because telephone. Everything else spreads like wildfire, so I don't know. So Bria is doubling down on her comment that Nick would be down to fuck in whatever state that he's in, and Nick is holding back and saying, what has he done that will make her say that? Because at some point, she's the one who actually asked him to take a nap, and she's like, and he was like, huh? And he asked if he and Tasia are still together, and they're not. I couldn't tell if I was sad or happy about that. I'm leaning towards happy because I want a reunion and I want to see what single Nick is like. I don't think they're completely wrong in the fact that His inappropriate behaviors. Nick's eyes be kind of wandering, but he hasn't really like exactly crossed the line. So there's some truth there to what they're saying, but there's not enough like proof to lay at his feet. So he says that they have different goals to achieve separately. And Andy was like, "Do you feel like you embarrassed her on TV?" He was like, "Yeah, I think I did, but it wasn't the only thing." Amir takes it upon himself to say that he observed that Nick's eyes wander, and he was going on and on and on, that there were things that would happen, and he would turn his eyes out, but Nick would be like, "Oh my God," and getting excited about it. And Nick is like, "Wait, you're saying that I should not look?" Like when Shanice came out at some point with her boobs out, that he turned around. So he's just picking one example to go at him, and Amir tries to backpedal and says like he didn't mean like all season. He just meant this particular. I don't know. It was just I don't know why Amir felt like he had to talk. Amir was really annoying this reunion.
It's amazing how much your partner can reflect upon you. Because it's like,
Yeah,
since Natalie, I've liked Amir less. And I had issues with him before. But since Natalie, it's worse. Uh,
yeah,
because I do think that Nick was kind of. Maybe people should just not come on the show when they're coupled. Because Nick was not. Just Nick didn't behave like a person who you really thought was in a relationship. Like you're like,
yes,
not that he cheated, not that he really did anything crazy. It's just like, are you in like a committed relationship? Because I'm not getting that vibe
yeah,
from you.
yeah. So we find out also once again that Amir and Nick have a rift. They try to repair the relationship, but it's not quite there. So I don't know. I didn't keep count, but there's a lot of rifts going on with this group. So Andy asked Amir if he expected Natalie to be a bone collector, and Noel was like, um, if that was Amir, that would be a problem. If Amir was like Nick or whatever. Andy asked Nick his opinion on Natalie and spreading, going coming up to try to tell Tasia, and he says that he thinks it's very strange that she involved herself in everything. Amir says
Hmm.
that she didn't want to be part of the dramas, and all of them at the same time go, "That's a lie." Noel
I
says it's. Noel is like, I mean, it's great that you're protecting her, but your girlfriend was messy as hell. Noel says that she kept asking when they had that conversation, "Should I go say something?" And they all said no. And she still did it, and he let them be assassinated by a rumor that she carried. Now, this is kind of like a gray area. I don't think I knew that they all said no because what we saw was that they were smiling when she said, "I'm just going to tell her." But on the flip side, if she and Tasia are actual friends who hang out, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to let her know they're going to come to you about this. I don't want you to be blindsided." I can see how, I mean, I don't think her intentions were innocent, but I can see how that's a good enough reason. You don't want to watch the show and know that your friend knew this was coming and she got blindsided.
That's true. Yeah.
So I also find it funny that this is the second time that Amir is letting someone get assassinated for something that he's affiliated with. The first being the whole Mariah thing, and I just laughed. So Amir says that Natalie doesn't like how the house and people perceive her, and she would want to come back to the house. And I was like, Nick is like, if she really wants to get to know people, she should get to know them, not just talk about them. And he was like, and that's all I have to say about that. And
And
that's
it's true.
facts. I don't know if you saw the interview that Amir did, and they asked him if he would come back for season 3, and Amir said like it depends on if they would be open to Natalie, that if they're not being receptive to her, then he's not going to show up and all that. And I'm like, Amir, pack your bags and keep going. Like, one, too new of a show for you to think you have all that leverage that you're going to be like, if Natalie is not, accepted, then you're not going to come back. We can recast you. Two, the show is about black people being in Martha's Vineyard, not about their significant others. Nobody else is well, besides Simon, but nobody else's significant other is trying to be a part of the show. She can come visit, but it's not about her coming to me. So I don't know why. Again, he's using that as leverage, but the whole thing was just annoying to me.
Yeah, and it's not leverage. Like Amir, I mean, I don't know what they tell him, but you're not really negotiating from a position of strength either with these shows. They will
Yeah.
cut anybody and everybody,
Yeah.
including you.
Yep. They talk about Mariah's bizarre half apology where she says that a realtor would know home etiquette. And he
That
was
was
like,
dumb.
he was like, he can say sorry, but he's not apologetic. But I don't know if you're the one who said so or if we talked about it. Sorry, I can't remember. The whole thing is about her losing a part in the show, and he was being dismissive about that.
Yeah, he was being dismissive, but the more this topic comes up, even annoyed as I am with Amir, I continue to be on his side with this nonsense.
Yeah, you said that
I
because she
continue,
put hands.
she put hands, and this conversation actually made me more on Amir's side. Like her arguments for why he should be apologizing and how should be apologizing were not good.
So they talk about fake tats Nick. Nick said he still hasn't read all his DMs. They talk about the not best dressed, and Summer says she doesn't regret saying it. And Shanice says something about, oh, you asked to borrow my top. And Summer's like, yes, because I know how to pay it and you don't. And I fell on the ground. That was hilarious.
It was hilarious, and I'm not gonna lie with the clothes thing. I'm a little team Summer because I think that she makes sense.
Um, they said something about they gave them there's something you need to do when you go on the show for like endorsements or something like that. So you get clothes, and they kept telling
So
Shawnee's,
Summer talked about it in Watch What Happens Live. She
yes,
said, I gave her the format, the emails, what she needed to do to get clothes, and she didn't do it.
yeah. So I don't know. We need to let this go. Um, she said it again that they don't have the same taste. She wouldn't wear what she wears, and she didn't like what she wore on What Happens Live. And I don't know. I'm glad that Summer doubled down. Like I like when people say it with your chest, and just if it's really bad, apologize. But if that's what you mean, just say it. Andy asked, we have to ask, Shanice, did you get a job? And she says, yes, she got a job. Overall, I think it was a fun reunion. It seemed like Andy enjoyed himself. And what do you think? Are they going to get a season three renewal?
I feel pretty confident in them getting a season three. I think this reunion only helped them. Yeah, I feel really good about the direction the show is going, but they do need to probably get rid of some people and bring in some new people. And everybody better be made up of the best of friends by the time they start filming. But like you said, the reunion was filmed like 2 months ago and summer's here.
Who do you think should leave?
If Amir doesn't want to come back with Natalie, he can go. Um, Summer should probably go for her own mental health.
Yeah.
Jordan is not adding much.
Nope. I think what the show is missing for most reality show is the whole hookup aspect of it. Almost everybody is paired up with someone. So that part, nothing's happening there. And they're not even encouraging it because, I mean, the boys in bunk beds, I don't know what that is. They need to find a new house.
Are you telling me at the White Summer House everybody has a decent room?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, with a bathroom.
They also need a cleaning service. My God.
No, White Summer House is also as bad. But I think
Daily
they do get a
cleaning.
cleaning service during the weekend or during the week.
They need a
But
housekeeper.
yeah, I think we need more fun. I will say that the parties were fantastic this season on Martha's Vineyard. I enjoyed them, but it's just that they kept fighting. So we need more balance. We need more fun and more people that like each other, and we need more single people who are willing to go out to mingle just to add a little more spice to it. So I'm worried about the renewal because low key, I feel like Bravo got bullied into renewing into season two. They couldn't not renew Family Karma and also not renew Summer House Martha's Vineyard. And I'm just really hoping that, peer pressure works again and they get renewed for season three.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's gonna happen, but we'll see.
Okay, we should find out soon because if they're going to film, they should be filming in the next month or two. So, do you want Silas back? Is he still deployed?
Yeah, I think he's still deployed, but if it's a 1 year and he doesn't get extended, he should be back soon.
Okay.
Um, so permanently back. He got to come back for the baby being born. But yeah, I want Silas. I want Silas and Jasmine back. I would like to see Jasmine make up with people. That would be enjoyable to me. And Silas apparently needs to make up with Preston, apparently. So I do want Silas and Jasmine back. I definitely want Preston back. Definitely want Nick back. Alex, take him or leave him. I don't like Bria, but she should probably come back. And Noelle back for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only last thing I want to add is like when people didn't show up for Nick's race, I thought that made me sad. I just thought that's what they do. Like you have an event, you go out to support, but nobody went to support him. So I thought it was valid when he was upset about that.
Very true. But they, okay, yeah. So, yeah. But they still seem to like him. I mean, I still think he's a well liked person in the house. So I still,
Yeah,
he doesn't, he seemed to end the season and even the reunion with no beefs against anybody, which is actually a rare thing.
yeah, yeah. He handled the whole Tasia thing well, but well, overall, well.
Okay. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at AltarCallMAFS. That's ALTARCALLMAFS. You can tell us everything you think about Summer House Martha's Vineyard, season two, the reunion, whether or not they should be renewed, who should come back, who shouldn't. Let us know all your thoughts.
Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and we will see you at the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.